Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over 5 reasons why the Ohio State Buckeyes will win the college football playoff in the 2020 through 21 season. And yeah, once again, these will be 5 reasons. They will be in no particular order. So, with that being said, let's look at your number 1 reason why they will win the national championship next season, and that's going to be Justin Fields. This should come as no surprise to many of you. Obviously, they return their star quarterback, and he's going to have a very bright future in the NFL, I'm sure. He transferred in from Georgia after the 2018 season, and he was likely the best at his position in the Big Ten last season. I mean, he had a couple of good quarterbacks in the Big Ten last season, but Justin Fields was clearly the one that came up on top for sure. Yeah, in his first season to go 13-1 as starting quarterback, to make it to the college football playoff and nearly make it to the national championship game, I mean, that was very impressive by Justin Fields. I mean, his only loss last season was to Clemson of all teams. So yeah, certainly for Justin Fields, I think he's got a very bright future. And yeah, looking at his 2019 stats as well, very impressive. He had over 3,200 yards of offense last season with 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and that is an incredible touchdown-interception ratio as well. Yeah, very impressive there. Of course, out of most quarterbacks, a good touchdown-interception ratio would be like a 6-1 or a 7-1. Justin Fields is basically going at it with like a 13-1. So yeah, certainly for Justin Fields, I think he's an insanely good quarterback, very accurate. His completion percentage last season was 67%. So yeah, I certainly think if Ohio State were to win the national championship next season, Justin Fields would be a major reason why. Moving on to number 2, we got the linebacker core for Ohio State. They got tons of depth at this position, and Malik Harrison is the one big loss for their core. And of course, they return most of their impactful players. So that's going to be huge as well. And they also have landed 3 high 4-star recruits. So, and yeah, those names include Cody Simon, Court Williams, and Mitchell Melton. All 3 of those guys are going to be coming in next season to this program. They were recruited, and the recruiting ratings were extremely impressive as well. Of course, Cody Simon had .99 or 966. Court Williams had a .930. And Mitchell Melton had a .89. So yeah, certainly all 3 of those guys should be big impacts for this team in the future. So yeah, certainly, I mean, having depth at a position is extremely important, and for Ohio State, they definitely have that at the linebacker position. So you definitely could look forward to that heading into 2020. Moving on to number 3, we got the receiving core for Ohio State, and they do lose their 2nd and 3rd wide receivers. I do know that. KJ Hill and Benjamin Victor, both of those guys certainly were big impacts on this team. They both had a decent amount of yardage. So yeah, but they do return their top receiver and Chris Olave. That's going to be a major return there. They also return their 4th receiver and Garrett Wilson. So they do have some returning talent from last season, so that's good. So they do have a couple of experienced players, but recruiting is outstanding for this receiver position going into 2020. Overall, I mean, the Ohio State recruiting class for 2020, we'll get into more about it in a sec, but yeah, certainly they've got a really good class, and yeah, the wide receivers are certainly a big bright spot of that. Of course, once again, like, they've got a couple of major wide receivers that we'll go over in a sec that are going to be coming into this program, and certainly possibly have future NFL careers. Yeah, your 2019 stats for Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Olave he had 845 yards for 12 touchdowns, and then Garrett Wilson had 432 yards with 5 touchdowns. So yeah, certainly both of those players were big impacts. It'll be really good to return them, and they do. Once again, here's your recruiting. They've got 3 for their notable names. I mean, these are your top 3 players: Julian Fleming, Jackson Smith, and G. Scott. Those 3 wide receivers are definitely going to have major impacts on this program over the next couple of years, especially those top 2. They got 2 5-star recruits as for receivers, and so that's going to be huge. They've got a 5th ranked overall 2020 recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports as well. So yeah, that's very impressive. They got the best 2020 recruiting class in the Big Ten, and their average recruit rating is .918. So yeah, for Ohio State, they're going to have a lot of depth at many positions. And yeah, once again, I do understand losing 2 wide receivers, but when you got Julian Fleming and Jackson Smith, 2 5-star recruits, and very high for that matter. I mean, especially Julian Fleming, his rating is .998. So yeah, that's about the max that you can get. So certainly for Julian Fleming, he's going to be a major impact on this team. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these 2 players do over the next few years. I definitely think that, I mean, they've got potential. If they've got that high of a rating, they certainly have potential to make it onto the NFL if they have good college careers and that they're healthy. So yeah, once again, another notable name for recruiting would be Paris Johnson. He's also a 5-star, and he's going to be on the offensive line. He is a tackle, and he's got a .995 for his rating. So certainly, yeah, for the recruiting for Ohio State, it is looking really good heading into 2020, and also having the best recruiting class in your conference is another big thing. And certainly, I mean, the SEC has always been good at recruiting. I think the top 3 are all SEC teams, if I'm correct. So yeah, certainly for Ohio State, that's a really good place to be in heading into 2020. Moving on to number 5, and your last reason will be Ryan Day. Of course, he's the new head coach, or he was the new head coach last season for Ohio State after Urban Meyer stepped down. And yeah, he's 16-1 as the head coach for the Buckeyes right now. Of course, he coached 3 games in 2018 while Urban Meyer was suspended, and he was 13-1 in 2019. So yeah, I think he's a very good coach. He's still very young, and yeah, his only loss right now is to Clemson in the college football playoff last season. So yeah, he's got a ton of potential in my opinion. I mean, I think he's a really great coach, and yeah, I think he's going to lead this Ohio State team to some really good seasons. And I mean, especially last season was a great season for Ohio State, but yeah, I think they've got many more of those seasons in the future. I think definitely next season could be one of them. I mean, yeah, they've got all the talent to do so, and he's also a really great recruiter too. I mean, that's been pretty obvious by who he's got so far. I mean, he's got like 3 or 4 5-stars coming into this team for the 2020 season. So yeah, certainly Ryan Day, I think, is a great coach, and he's doing really well. And to have this much success in only the first parts of his head coaching career, yeah, I think Ryan Day is going to have a very bright future. But yeah, nonetheless, that about wraps up this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Ohio State. Do you think they'll be good? Do you think they'll be a bit of a down season? Be sure to let me know in the comments. Okay, thank you all for watching once again. If you enjoyed this video, please have a like on it. Be sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, thank you all for watching though. Thanks for watching, and yep, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I will see you all later.